stock, tail jack, go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate board's a different kind of same. Went off to college, but college turned out me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tail jack to go and fetch your bank. Try that and upstate board's a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run.
Yo, what is up? 24/7 Buff Fandemonium. It's Tuesday, April Fool's Day, in fact. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That can only mean one thing. Time for the K-Gun Report right here on the Buff Fan Base Network, brought to you by 26 Shirts. Tonight we have everyone's favorite guest, your favorite guest, our favorite guest. It's the amazing Mark Maddox joining the panel tonight. We're looking to take all of your questions, all of your comments, talk a little life after football, and have some good vibes going, rolling into this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever the rest of this week holds. So we got a little FLX Mafia commercial we're going to run real quick, and then we're going to bring everybody on. Here we go.
It's never too early to stack up on your favorite sports apparel. Represent your favorite football team and the Finger Lakes region with this authentic swag. This original FLX Mafia merchandise can be found at the 24/7 Buff Fandemonium store.
I'm pretty sure that Jarrod played the trumpet or the horn on that commercial for that video. I was very impressed by that. What's up, everybody? It is K-Gun Tuesday. Right below me, the man, the myth, the legend, our best friend in the whole wide world, Mr. Mark Maddox. What's up, Mark?
Not much, guys. How are you?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight.
Of course.
Mark, real quick, I'm drinking Arnold Palmer today because I saw you've been golfing, my friend. You've been golfing, so I was like, I'm going with golf theme today. I'm going to drink the Arnold Palmer spiked.
Yeah, I actually, my high school buddy, every year in March, they have a get-together in Las Vegas, him and some of his guys. He's from Chicago now. He lives in Chicago, but he gets a big group of guys that they all get together and go to Vegas. And I think they have like 34 guys. And they rent out like this huge house, and they do nothing but party the whole weekend. But his dad lives here in the Phoenix area. So he was here, and we ended up getting a chance to go out and play golf. So it was pretty good.
Nice, man.
Beautiful.
Right up next to me over here is my brother from another mother, Mr. Scooter Magooter. Scott, what do you got tonight?
What's up, Bills Mafia? Just happy to be here. April Fool's Day. The 1st of April. I'm ready for the nice weather. I'm ready for draft week. I'm ready to see what these Buffalo Bills are going to do. Piss everybody off, make everybody happy at the same time. Love draft day.
Can't please all the people all the time.
No, why'd we do that? No matter who Kansas City gets, they're going to be like, see, we let them get that guy.
Yeah. that punter, that first round punter. See, right down here, kitty corner from me is my other brother from the same mother as Scooter. That is Jarrod. Jerry Reed. What's up, Jarrod?
Hey Swank, hey Scott, hey Mark. It's good to see you. First time for season 6. What I love about these shows, Bills Mafia, is we can come in with something planned and then we just talk life and never get to it. And I think that's probably what we're going to do tonight. Just talk about football, how it's affected all of our lives, and in the relationships we've made throughout that, and then just talk. And I love it, Mark. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We got Corey Blaine in the comments saying, let's go. What's up, Mark? With 4 explanation points. Corey, I felt like you could have added at least 3 more explanation points to that, but I'm going to let it slide because I like you. We got Doug in the comments saying, hey, peeps, beautiful Tuesday night. Happy to be right here, right now. Go Bills. Hell yeah, Doug. Good to see you, brother. Our boy Patrick Hughes, it's 8:30 on a Tuesday, so that means it's K-Gun Report, and that's the bottom line because Mark Maddox said so. So,
Mark, do you watch wrestling at all?
No, I don't. I don't follow it. I as a kid I did, and but as I got older, I kind of stopped. But as a kid, I loved those guys.
Yeah, that was Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think, right, guys? That's the bottom line, because Mark said so, or something like that. So,
I don't know. See, a lot of our friends in this group have that it's a bunch of wrestling crossover, and I've only just admitted within like the last 2 weeks, I think, that like I never really watched. I knew who the Hulkster was. I knew Macho Man was.
You knew all the big guys and stuff like that, and so
that's about it.
Like I said, though, I was old school with like Jerry the King Lawler, King Kong Bundy, Kamala the Ugandan Giant, Jumping Jim Brunzell, and what were they? They were 2. Oh my God, they were the tag team.
Legions of Boom.
No, it wasn't that. It was one of the guys was Jumping Jim Brunzell and like the Gagne brothers or something crazy like that. But yeah, I remember the old school stuff. That's it.
That's the way it is. I know there's a guy in a band that I loved entirely from Buffalo. His name's Andy, and he's a professional wrestler now in the AEW. The Butcher, they call him. So I don't know.
Okay.
In a band to being a professional wrestler. Life's weird, man.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a funny fact that you talk about wrestling. I don't know if you guys know this, but when I played, well, of course, I'm from a small school, Northern Michigan, and the Bills were heavy on small schools. They picked up a guy from Ferris State named Monty Brown, and Monty Brown was huge in the wrestling and loved it like it was nothing else. And that was his passion. He wanted to be a wrestler. And then he actually joined when he went to New England just so he could join. I think they had some gym or something there where you could do stuff. And he actually ended up wrestling in like the ECW or whatever it was called. I know one of his names was the Alpha Male. And it was crazy to see this, but yeah. So look up Monty Brown in wrestling, played with me for a couple years and ended up going to New England and then working on his wrestling and went into wrestling.
Wow. That's wild, man.
Yeah. The Alpha Male. He would do the voices all the time, of especially Macho Man. He was all the time. He'd throw out something and we'd look at him like, seriously?
There he is.
His last wrestling name was Marquise Corvon.
Yep, Corvon. That's it. Marquise Corvon. Yep.
There's some swagger in that.
Yeah. I don't know that name though. I don't know.
Maurice
Corvon. Okay, well. Yeah.
We got Richard Hales. Good evening, Buffalo fam. What's up, Richard? You look like a new name, man. Appreciate you tuning in to the show.
Oh, yeah, welcome.
We got our guy Christian Marky Mark, he says. I don't know if I would dare call Mark Maddox Marky Mark, but sure. I'll have you know he doesn't lip sync at all. I've seen it. We got the amazing Ellen Lartz. What's up, Ellen?
Hi, Ellen.
My guy Buffalo Spartan. What's up, boys? On time.
This is Sparta.
There you go. There you go.
Good guy.
That's my man. He's dude. Corey, Mark, do you think all right, this has been a thing. Corey, you haven't got a chance to meet Corey, Mark, but he'll be at the Rager this year. This dude, we've known him like less than a year. Our guy Lou RQ turned him onto our show, and he's become like fast friends with all of us. He shows up to derelict shows and hangs out. He's just great dude. We went to a couple games with him or a game with him and whatever. But my band got an opportunity to open for this band coming out of St. Louis, and we're playing at Buffalo Ironworks. And he has been on my case about us playing this new song. And now every time he leaves a comment, that's what it is. So I've been chasing this around the internet for like 3 days now. So anyway. We got Patrick Hughes. All that FLX Mafia gear is sweet, but where are the SpaghettiOs? I hear you, dude. I hear you. I'm working on it.
Well, tell him I'm not working on SpaghettiOs. I'm working on brat.
Brat.
Yeah.
Now I saw you have had quite the weight loss journey here this last year. I saw, huh?
Yeah, still working on it. Last year, I think I told you guys when I was out. I don't know if I had started that carnivore diet or not when I was out there. Or before I came out there. I think I started it in September or something like that.
Okay.
But because of my knee, and the issues I was having with it and just the weight itself, I didn't feel I'm a big guy and I didn't look like I weighed 300 pounds, and people didn't know I weighed 300 pounds, but I carried it well because I don't have like a big belly, a big round belly for so to say. But I ended up working out, doing some working out and all of that good stuff. And I just, eating better and eating less, and ended up, down like 50 pounds, because I was pushing 3 bills. So, and I didn't really notice it or feel it, but when I started losing weight, it's like, okay, I guess I was 300 pounds, And so like this morning when I got up, and I had clothes on and stuff like that, I think it was 240, 240, 249, 248. I think it said 248.9 or something like that. But that's with some jean shorts, t-shirt, and, and I'm like, that's probably another 2-3 pounds right there, especially the shorts and stuff. I went from a 42-inch waist to where I can actually wear 36. 36 are a little snug, but I fit in them and I can wear them. But I replaced some of my stuff with some 38s, and, my goal is to lose another, I want to get down to, 220 is kind of pushing it as another 30 pounds. But if I can get to 225, 230, I'll be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But my knee feels better. So, I still need the knee surgery because I'm bone on bone. That's not going to stop. But I've had the knee ablation to limit the pain that I have in it. But when I do stuff, it still bothers me. Like it still swells up. It still hurts. I can't bend it. And so, so it's, but it's helped me because it doesn't hurt as much as it did before, where I had chronic pain all the time, hard to sleep at night because anytime I move, it would hurt and stuff like that. But since the ablation and the weight loss, I can lay down on my back and my leg can be straight and it doesn't hurt. I can lay on my stomach and I don't have to have a pillow to keep my leg bent and it hurts. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, therapy and recovery will be a lot easier for you once you go through all that knee stuff.
Yeah, for sure, right?
And
Good job, Mark. Congrats.
But the doctor wants me to wait until I'm in my, at least until I'm 60
for surgery.
Yeah. And the reason is due to the fact that, he says, if you get it then, it's only 3 years away, but what if you need another surgery? You get that another surgery, the risk of infection is greatly increased. And so that's the reason. I have a friend and I can't even tell you how many, she's had a knee replacement, but because of her knee replacement, she's had, I think, 4 or 5 additional surgeries. And out of those 4 or 5 additional surgeries, I think she's had either 3 or 4 infections after they went in it,
Yep.
And so that's the hard part about it. And he said, and another thing, what a lot of doctors really don't tell you, or they don't really emphasize it, but it's a partial amputation of your leg.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to realize is you're doing a partial amputation of your leg. Wait as long as you have to, and so.
Yeah, they go in there and they cut the top right off of that bone and put a metal piece on there and then fix the joint. So yeah, they're cutting.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. David.
Yes, sir. Lots of love for our friend Mark in the comments. Dr. Bruce, who I feel like I haven't talked to in quite a
Dr.
while.
Bruce.
What's up, Dr.
Mark's cover got the whole cover in his face.
I was going to say earlier, Mark's going to be down to 248 right now. And Scott actually mentioned this last week. He goes, can you believe Mark's down? Because Scott and I, at our worst, we're at 230. So, but we're only 5'9". So he's like, can you believe Mark's only like 15 pounds heavier than we were? And he's like 6'3", 6'2". And those of you who haven't met Mark, if I move over here like this, my shoulders take up half the screen. Mark is literally that big. His shoulders are huge, like double the normal person. He's an NFL linebacker, right? So he's a big man. So being down at 230, 240, that's playing get days right there, Mark.
Yeah. My heaviest weight going into camp was probably 240, probably 245.
Okay.
Going into camp. And I would always lean out and be about 230, play about 235, between 230 and 235. Okay. And so, but when I went in, I was soaking wet. I was barely 215 pounds out of college.
Right.
I think I was 219.
So what do? They just get you with the nutritionist and give you a workout regimen, or?
I'm going to tell you right now, Rusty Jones, just a brilliant man when it came to nutrition and body management. And he set it up for us where, when it came to nutrition, what we put in our body, what we ate and stuff like that, he gave us meal plans and he gave us a stoplight system, red, green, and yellow. Okay. And according to where your body fat was, your body was, you could either be, if you were a red person, most likely offensive lineman, defensive lineman, bigger guys. Yellow was linebackers, like tight ends, running backs, kind of the next to the middle-sized guys. And then your lean guys, like your receivers, DBs, and all those guys were usually your green light guys, where they could eat anything because their metabolism just took it all away from them. They already had low body fat and stuff like that. That was one thing he did. But when it came to weightlifting, he was what's the word I'm looking for? He was very committed to helping your body do the best that it could based on recovery, not based on how fast you could do it. So when I first went there, they do the bench press test. I did 225 like 19 times. Okay. And this is coming from a college program of lifting and everything like that. I always thought I was strong, but I didn't realize how strong I was. Okay. Until I got with Rusty. Rusty ended up, we went for the mini camp in May, and then he gave us the workout that we would do, my running routine, my lifting routine, my conditioning, before we went back to camp so I could be prepared for camp. He gave us all of that. Then I was doing the workout And the workout that I was on we were on sets of 8. So when I bench pressed 3 sets of 8, I was at 275 for 3 sets of 8 when I went back in June. Okay. Now we tested in May and I did 225 19 times. And when I went back in June, according to the workouts, I was doing 275 for 3 sets of 8, but I couldn't get 3 sets of 8. I get the first set, I can get the second set, but I couldn't complete the third set. And so while I was there, he was watching me. He goes, well, Mark, you got to remember, you have to take time between your sets. He goes, after you finish that second set, he goes, I want you to wait 5 minutes, do nothing else. You can do another exercise, body part or something like that, but don't do anything upper body. He goes, I want you to wait. I want you to wait 5 minutes and then come back. And so this is while I was at the rookie camp, or the rookie camp, which was 2 weeks for all the new guys. I ended up waiting the 5 minutes. I went over there, and next thing you know, knocked out 8 reps like I never did before. And I was like, holy crap, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
I took that into consideration. This was early June. And then we had our camp in July, towards the middle of July. So I ended up going back home, working out, lifting the way he taught me to lift. We go back to camp. We have to test again. I say, I'm going to test at 275. I'm not testing at 225. I tested at 275 and did it 18 times. And they were like, what? Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is true story. The next year I did 315 18 times.
Nice.
I got tested 14 out of the first 15 weeks of the season for steroids.
Okay, yep.
I got tested. It's random testing.
Sure.
But I got tested 14 out of 15 weeks. It might have been 13 out of 15. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I was tested every week. But the only thing was, I followed his program, and I got stronger and stronger and stronger because of it. Marcus Padden and I think were probably the 2 strongest guys on the team. When it came to bench and stuff like that per body weight, because both our maxes were over 500 pounds. I was doing 505 for 3 sets of 3 when we got to threes, and I'm only weighing 235 pounds.
Right.
And we got guys 300 pounds, can't lift 400 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah.
Have you guys seen Mark hit somebody? He sent us some film, and that doesn't surprise me that you can bench that much.
Yeah, and
You
so
get a little 200-pound running back running at you.
Yeah.
See you later.
I think I seen in the comments someone said, "What was my favorite moment?"
Yeah,
in
I
NFL?
throw it up here. Yep, here you go.
I see that. Corey, I think my favorite moment in the NFL probably, was one of them was definitely being able to be called the starter in a Super Bowl, to start in a Super Bowl. That is, one of my favorite moments that I'll always hopefully remember. But my favorite moment that, I just remember is that as a kid, I grew up and I love Marcus Allen as a running back as a kid, because I wanted to be a running back. So I loved all those old school running backs. And he was with the Raiders and we were beating them, and I got to go in the fourth quarter. I think it was the fourth quarter. But I got to go in the game, and Marcus Allen was still in the game. We're playing in the Coliseum in LA. And I ended up making a tackle on Marcus Allen, and I just laid on the ground going, I can't believe I just tackled Marcus Allen, looking up in the dome or in the Coliseum. And to me, that was one of the greatest moments, because he's a childhood, a childhood idol, and to be able to be in that moment and do that, that's what I'll always remember that. I even have a picture of it. A guy had it on eBay or something like that, and I ended up buying it off of eBay, buying the slide. So, but yeah.
Can't
So,
imagine.
but those are two of my favorite moments. I know I have more, but
Nice.
those two I'll always remember. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
for those of you who don't know, at the Rager this year, we're actually going to have a game. Mark's got to keep losing weight a little bit. He's going to tackle everyone, and that'll be our greatest moments. Go back and look at the Drew Bledsoe tackle. He's going to tackle us like that. So
You said us.
get tackled by Mark Maddox.
If you don't show up to the Rager, Marks, how about that?
Those are two great memories. Super Bowl start and tackling your childhood idol. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it takes the cake.
Was there any confliction in your brain when you went to wrap him up? Like, man, I love this guy so much, or you were just like, bam.
Mm-mm. No, I didn't even think about that. It was just more of the game. You know, you play the game, and like for me, and I don't know, for me in the game, I don't remember like a lot of the players, you know, like from other teams.
Yeah.
Someone can talk about another team, and I'll be like, who? All I know is a number and a guy in front of me who I'm going against. You know, I could watch watching the some of the old Pittsburgh our game against Pittsburgh when Will Wolford went there. The only reason I knew it was Will Wolford is because they said his name. Otherwise, I would have been like, I just hit that guy and his number was 67 because I didn't really care. It was just that's who I'm lined up against. This I know what he does. You know, I wasn't big into names. The only person who named that I felt was worthy of remembering was Darmonte Dawson from Pittsburgh, one of the center, because he was the best center. I think he's one of the best centers of all time. You know, just watch or just playing against him, and anytime that you run a 3-4 and you have a nose guard on him, and he can hit the nose guard and hit the backside linebacker, he's good.
Yeah.
You know, because usually he's going to get held up enough from the nose tackle, especially if you have a good nose tackle and a quick one. And we did with Jeff Wright. Jeff Wright was good. You know, he was smaller, he was quick, he was agile, he could go with any center. Not Darmonte Dawson. Darmonte Dawson was absolutely amazing in the stuff he could do and how fast he was as a guy that big. You know, so that's one of the few linemen that I know. You know, you hear about the other ones just because of all the recognition that they get, you know. What was it? Armstrong, or not, was it Armstrong from the Patriots? Bruce Armstrong, I think was his name, or something like that.
Tackle.
Left tackle. Yeah.
Yep.
But it was just because of his name and stuff like that, you know. And so I had a play where we played against him, and I had to go line up against him because we didn't have all our people on the field. And I rushed right past him and made a tackle in the backfield, you know. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then, you know, I'm like, he ain't that good. And then
Bruce can't get to the quarterback more often. I just flew by him like that.
Yeah. And so, but and it was a running play, and I just and it was like, okay. It was a loss, and then I had to line up again, and yeah, he was actually pretty good.
He wasn't about to let that happen twice, was he?
Yeah, that 330 pounds was actually much better that second time than it was the first time.
Swank, real quick. Instagram's pretty busy today, and we apologize for those of you who follow us on Instagram. The comments don't come in, but I do want to share a couple of them.
Yeah,
the Great Bearded One, finally I get to watch this. Welcome to the show, the Great Bearded One. Welcome to the K-Gun Report. And I got a guy or lady, Alan, 1963. My son met Mark years ago at the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon. As a result, he was always a favorite player of his. Very cool. Thanks, Alan.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We're here every Tuesday. Mark is the leader for most return guest ever on the K-Gun Report. I think, what were we at, like 200 plus? I don't even know, 250 episodes. I think we were at. Now this is our 6th year, third episode. Crazy, crazy business.
Awesome.
I did have a question for you right here. Question for Mark Maddox. When are we getting our 24 Buff Pandemonium Cooking with Mark Maddox cooking show? If you're new to the show, Mark has several times been making dinner for his mother while we've been on the air.
Well, Mark, you just had a birthday. Did mom just have a birthday too?
Yeah,
I
mom
see?
just had
Okay.
mom just had a
Happy birthday.
birthday,
Happy birthday.
and so I did whatchamacall, she's from the South and she's old school, so I decided to have kind of a little soul food for that day. So for breakfast, I fried her up some catfish and some grits
Mm.
and some eggs, and it was actually really, really, really good. And she had never had catfish and grits before, but she loves catfish and she loves grits. But I'm like, Mom, they do it for breakfast. I'm gonna tell you right now. And so she didn't do nothing but talk about it to all her friends when she said, "Yeah, he made me some catfish and grits." And, oh my God, girl. I didn't think about it, but I've heard people talk about it, but it sure was good.
Mhm. Now, the first episode that Mark was on, I think he was making wings. I think he was making drumsticks for his mom, and
Yeah.
that inspired me to go out. And I know Buffalo Spartan does this. I buy my own chicken now, and I cut them and they cut the wing off, and then they cut the two bone and the upper bone, and I cook them myself now, and it's a lot cheaper and they taste better, and I love doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. My mom was probably going back home because I always cook her food to take on the train when she goes back home.
Good son.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, you're cooking her up food for the train. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Patrick says, "Who was your favorite player to tackle?"
I don't know if it was the tackle, but I would talk about my favorite player to go up against to like run blocking, and like a fullback or like an offensive lineman that we played like twice a year. But for me, there were two fullbacks that I love going against, and my favorite is going to be the second one. But I like playing against Daryl Johnson with the Cowboys because he was one of those guys that he wanted to beat you. He didn't want to cut or go at your legs or anything like that. He wanted to beat your head up. But by my, he would go low sometimes, but my by far favorite person to go against was Sam Gash.
Mhm.
And I was so mad when I left the Bills. He actually came to the Bills, a year or two after. And I would have loved to have played with him because I just had so much respect for him of how he played the game and how he, wanted to beat you one-on-one, not, head up, not anything dirty or low or anything like that. He would never cut you. He would come out and try to beat you on his feet.
Yeah, I've seen some footage of you guys meeting in the hole. It's pretty.
Mhm.
You can hear it, even though it's silent. But you can hear the pads crunching. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scoot, man. What's going on with you, buddy?
No idea.
At Farmington Internet?
This internet's getting the computer's gonna get a full reboot one of these days.
Like what size boot are you giving
It's
it?
my boot going against the back of it and flying through the air and seeing if my son can't hit it with a baseball bat while it's doing that. Y'all freeze and all of a sudden it's done. I was like, I gotta get out here and come back. At least it's working now.
Doug says, "Mark, did you ever play in the charity basketball games at the high schools in the area when you were in Buffalo?"
I did play in them. I don't remember all of them. Some people have told me that I did, and that I know. I think I went with, I think it was Jeff Wright, Phil Hansen. I remember Phil just because of we from small school together. But I don't know how many we played in or how many I played in. But that was fun going out to the schools and meeting the people and stuff like that. I was always about meeting people and meeting, the fans and just trying to interject positive into the community, into the areas that we went to.
Awesome. Seems like you haven't stopped doing that.
I haven't. I'm working on it. It's like one of those things. It's like, when you have the opportunity to reach out and reach people and help people, you have to do it. You're a servant, you're here for a reason. And and if you don't use that ability, that God-given ability that you have to bring people together, help someone, bring awareness to something, and we don't use it for the right purpose, what good are we?
Yeah.
Why what's your meaning of life? What's your reason for, living? You do the stuff because, I do all the stuff I do because first I feel that I should do it. I can do it. I don't do it for accolades. I don't do it for recognition. I don't reach out, like when we go and do events and stuff like that. I don't reach out to the media to show up. I don't ask them to show up because we're not there for the media. And it's kind of sad because I met a lady a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about, she was asking me if I, do stuff. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, it was kind of sad because she said she asked me how come I didn't do the breakfast for the homeless at St. Vincent de Paul on Thanksgiving, because Nick Lowry runs it, the old punter. He runs it, and there's always a bunch of NFL guys that show up and go and stuff like that. And I just said, I said I could have did it, but I do stuff with my family. But I said I do something before that. I said I go out and we hand out blessing bags, to the homeless. And she was like, "Oh, that's so nice." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, but let me ask you this: all those guys that you've seen there, and I said you're a regular there, how many times do you see them? And she goes, once a year.
Mm.
I said they're there on that one day, but they're not there any other day.
Yeah.
They're not there. And don't get me wrong, what they're doing is great.
Sure.
It's appreciated. But where is it throughout the year?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? People need to eat not only on Thanksgiving.
Right.
They have other days that they need to get fed. They have other days that they would like to see someone other than a holiday, and for you to show up. And I said, so, that's the only reason. I said, so that's why I don't go to that one, because I do my own thing, and I teach my son, I teach other kids, and about the importance of giving. He ordered 120 pounds of what? Wings?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Burns crazy, man.
Yeah, he gets them.
He's got a whole setup at his place.
All he does is eat wings all year, huh?
Yeah.
So he said there's there's 7 to 8 per pound. So that'd be interesting to see. I mean, do the quick math. Over 1,000 wings.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Really quick off that point, Mark, man, like that stuff, it always drives me nuts when somebody asks you about your giving. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, especially when, like you're saying, like there's events that we run and we do throughout the year and we're part of, and these guys help me out with another thing that I do and all this stuff. And whenever I hear like, oh, that's great, but why don't you do this? And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm busy. Get away from me. Go do that. Sounds great. I would do it if I had time, but I'm doing this.
People, the hard part is people always have opinions or always have thoughts of what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Okay. Or you're doing this for this. Why don't you do this for that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what has to be understood is that, because we have a nonprofit, we try to stick to our guidelines of what our mission statement is. But we have helped other people. We help with other fundraisers, donated jerseys and things like that. But the hard part is when, and I don't get frustrated by it or bothered by it. I just feel sorry for the others. I have people who will ask about doing certain things and stuff like that. And, saying contribute here or contribute there and stuff like that. But those people don't even contribute to what we're doing.
Right.
And so that is kind of, is where I kind of feel bad for them, is because they want people always to do something, but then they won't do something,
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you're saying, but it's like, it's one of those things. And I was thinking about today, like, a giving program just to help individuals, because what people don't understand that is the wealthy are wealthy for a reason, and they stay wealthy for a reason. The poor are poor for a reason, and they stay poor for a reason, you know. But there is the thing that it's like I told people, it's like if you help one person, it's going to trickle down. That one person is going to help someone. Okay. And then that one person is going to help someone. And down the line, you're going to have more people helping people because of the one thing that you did. You know, you don't know how many people it's going to affect. You don't know how many people it's not going to affect. But, you know, I think I told you guys this one time. I had a guy was talking to me about the homeless, and I told him what I did and with the homeless bags. And he goes, "It doesn't matter. They don't, yada, yada, yada," and stuff like that. And his son was homeless and blah, 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 blah. And he's homeless because he wants to be, not because he has to be, and stuff like that. I'm like, but the fact is he's still homeless. I said, I could care less if I gave 50 bags away, as long as one person appreciated that bag and it helped them with something that they needed, then what we did was successful. You know, just because if I gave your son one and he didn't give a crap about it, okay, oh well, I can't do anything about it. But when I look into the faces of the people who we give these to, and you see the smiles, you see the appreciation, and you see the thankfulness on their face, like with my son, and how he interacted with them, and how they were just so receptive, and how they were so thankful, and how they were so just, they felt like they were blessed, and they were so just, you know, appreciative of what we did.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the point. You don't do it, like I said, you're not doing it because you're looking for something from someone. You know, you're doing it because you want to. And you're right. And I'll tell you right now, there's a guy on our corner from here, about 2 miles from our house, by the Walmart and all this little area. I swear to God, he lives in the neighborhood, and he stands out there with a cart, a dog, and a sign. And I swear I seen him riding a bike in the neighborhood. I know this guy lives over here somewhere. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I had a woman tell me one time that she thought the same thing, and that she thinks he lives next to her parents or by her parents. And I was like, and like I told the lady, I said, let me ask you a question. Because we were talking. We were in the McDonald's from the corner where he was at. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I know him. I know the dog and blah, blah, blah," and stuff like that. I said, "Well, to be honest with you, I don't really think he's homeless, because I had a lady tell me she thinks he lives in our neighborhood." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, I don't know." And something. And I'm like, I said, "Look at the dog. The dog is always just looks good." She goes, this is what she said.
Can't see the dog's ribs.
Right. She goes, "You know what? He did say he had took the dog to the groomer." I'm like, okay, now I've heard it all. A homeless person taking a dog to the groomer. Yeah, that you're not homeless if you're taking your dog to the groomer. Plain and simple.
You're mismanaging your funds.
Exactly.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
Yeah. I'm like, man,
there's a story like, man, a couple of years ago, I remember this guy that had gotten laid off from his job. He lived down in New York, and he was too embarrassed to tell his wife, so he would leave the house every day in a suit and tie, and then he had a change of clothes, and it was like rags, and then he would panhandle in Times Square, and he made more money doing that. Was able to keep the facade of not like she didn't know he lost his job for like 2 years.
Wow.
He did that and came back. So, but to go back a little bit here, like I think it's like with that guy with the son, right? Like I think it's like a quality of the human race in general to like only be able to like project what your experience is or what your bias are or whatever that is, and like a lot of people see things in very like black and white, but like the whole world's gray, man. It's just like you're saying, if one person appreciates it and can use what you're supplying out of that spread of 50, you know, like it's worth it, and it's worth it to you, and it's you know, you're doing the part that you're trying to do, and whether somebody else is negative about it or not, it really doesn't calculate into the formula. Like that's just human nature, and I mean, you're always going to have that. And I don't know, it's admirable, man, and you do more than
Yeah.
A lot of people,
I was
man.
telling someone, I'm like, and numbers are powerful.
Mhm.
And we all know that numbers are powerful. I had some buddies at one point in time. We were we bowled together, and my one friend, his brother was involved in something, and I think it was called Forex or something like that. And they were gonna go public, and but they were getting people in, and they were trying to get people in early, and it was going to be like an MLM thing. And because his brother was in, and when they opened it up, we would all get in, and we would all be at the top, and we're all going to make all this money and everything like that. And I looked at them and I said, really? And they're like, yeah, da 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 da. I'm like, how much is it? It's $60. I'm like, okay. And we're going to make a lot of money. And they were like, yeah. I said, I can tell you how you can make $750,000. If I could tell you how to do that, would you be interested? They're like, yeah. I'm like, how much would you pay for it? $1,000, $5,000, da 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 da. I'm like, what if I told you it was less than that? They're like, how much? 1,000? I'm like, less than that. 100? That we got down to 100. I'm like, less than that. They're like, how much? And they were 50, 25. I said, what if I told you it costs $1? Would you do it? They were like, nah, I don't know. They'll pay $1,000, $5,000 because they think their return on investment is going to be real.
Yeah.
But I'd say $1. And I'm like, all these things are nothing but they're pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
The only people who get paid are the people at the top.
Yep.
Okay. So if I give you a pyramid and I tell you it's $1, you won't do it.
Yeah.
Because you don't believe in it.
Right.
But you believe in this, but you don't believe in that. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, listen, if you get a list with 7 names on a list, you send $1 to the top person. That first person is going to get $7. But that you have to, when you get the list, you got to get 7 people to give $1. How hard would it be, say, if I say, hey guys, Swank, I need you to get $7. Jarrod, $7. Scooter, $7. Okay.
For you gotta get it, no problem.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, so I said, now what you need to do is you get 7 people who are going to get $7. And all you do is just keep replacing the name on a list. If your name goes in the 7th spot, by the time your name gets to the first spot and all these 7 people get their 7 people, your name is in front of over 770,000 people.
Right. Get $1 from each one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's so simple.
Pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's so simple, so easy. And today, with the way the laws and stuff are like that, you can gift anything you want to anyone, and you can set it up any way you want. You know what I mean? You can send, you can, and so, but I'm just like, but no one will do it. No one will do that because they don't believe in it. But the reason is why I had a lady get me involved in that Transact. I don't know if I remember telling you about that, you guys, about that card, the Transact thing. And you know what? The concept of that was absolutely amazing. The follow through on their end wasn't amazing. So it didn't end up working out the way it was supposed to. But like my buddy, and when I told him about it, he goes, oh my God. He goes, that's a great concept. It was basically whenever you spent money off a debit card, you got $1, or at that one point in time, you got 2 for 1. So if you spent $1, you got $2 of, they called them Z-Bucks. Okay. But they were supposed to be building a store, which they had partial store up. Okay. But what they were actually doing is they were building a virtual drop shipping business. Okay. Or a drop shipping business is what they were doing. So with the drop shipping business, you were supposed to be able to, you got a bank account, because I had a bank account with the bank. I got the debit card and it was legit. I used the debit card. My Z-Bucks showed up in my account, And when I wanted to use it, if I wanted to use the shop for something, I could. But their store never got completed. All the stuff never got done. And it just kept going. And, and of course, it didn't pan out. But the whole, because they lost their banking people that they did have. And then they were trying to find more banking people, and it never worked. So it's one of those things where it's like, it didn't work. But I mean, that concept was absolutely amazing. Because think about it. If you could buy something and you bought something with your money and you want to go and I researched the prices of the stuff that was on Amazon as compared to on the Z store, is what they called it. The prices were cheaper. They were cheaper than Amazon, even with shipping, because they said we were supposed to get free shipping, but it wasn't free shipping. When I looked at everything, it always added the shipping in, but it was still cheaper. It was still cheaper than Amazon, and I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? You spend money every day on stuff. Why wouldn't you take money and use it to purchase things that you normally already get?
Right.
But people, when it comes to giving, people just don't really truly believe that stuff can be so simple to help others.
Yeah.
I
mean, an act of kindness, it doesn't really take any money. You can just be nice. You can help somebody out. You know what I mean? It doesn't take bleeding your bank account dry to be a good person and make somebody else feel good. And like you said, pay it forward.
Just opening the door for someone, holding the door for someone, pushing their cart back for them and stuff like that. Or getting mad at them when they leave their cart next to the car.
Time sometimes is just as valuable as money is.
Imagine the guy that left his cart by the car that doesn't know that Mark Maddox is pissed off.
Oh my God, that's like my pet peeve. My pet peeve is when someone just leaves their cart sitting right there. I'm like, and the cart returns right there behind you.
Yeah,
walk it over.
Too busy, just too busy.
Someone will take care of it. They got people for that.
We have to talk about giving acts of kindness to like strangers, just saying hi or a smile to somebody. But Mark, I've noticed the last couple of days, just your inner circle too. Sometimes I have buddies. I just told my kids, like I have friends that I haven't talked to in a long time that I have in a chat list that every once in a while I say, hey boys, what's up? I miss you. I love you guys. I hope everything's doing well. Just checking in. And I think although we want to do things outside and do things for people, we also have to make sure that we're in a safe space, that we're comfortable, that we're happy. And then the small group that we've created in our lives are happy too. So even just checking in with a close one and just saying, hey, want to go golfing or you want to have a beer? Or, hey, I hope everything's doing well. That's important too.
Yeah. And it's funny that you said that, because I put up a post. I put up a post today for friends and family about things like, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, I'm going through stuff and, but I'm strong and everything like that. And at the bottom, it says, please check in with a friend. I'm like, you don't have to respond to this, because I didn't put it up for a response, but I put it up to let people know that we all go through stuff. We're human, that's it. We're human and we deal with things, but we need to check in with each other. We need to check in with your friends just to see how they're doing, or just to say hello. Because you never know what someone is dealing with, what someone may be suffering with, who may be sick, who may not be sick. It was so sad when my aunt passed away last year and we went back home. We have a cousin who always on Facebook, always doing stuff, always posting everybody's birthday pictures, blah, 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 blah. We hadn't seen any posts from her or anything like that, but no one really knew what was going on. And, my aunt passed away and, it was probably a few days later, she ended up passing away. She ended up kept having cancer and no one knew, but she didn't want anyone to know, and she didn't tell anyone, but no one got a chance to, tell her they loved her, tell her they're going to miss her, tell her they're going to be there, and so like her mother didn't even know she died or was sick, even though her mother's older and stuff like that. And she didn't want to worry her mom, but it's one of those things is that, we have to the NFL has, they call it 9-6, where on 9-6 you should check in with a teammate and stuff like that for Cortez Kennedy, who had committed suicide.
Mhm.
And so they want you to check in with guys and stuff like that. Every 9-6, I text every player in my phone that I have to say, hey, what's up? Checking in on you. Hope everything's going good. You know, today is 9-6, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, Jamie is correct. Everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind. And that's what it's about. We have so much. I understand we have to think of ourselves. You know, we have to think of ourselves. We have to think of our family. We have to think of the immediate things around us and stuff like that. But we get so many people who judge others or judge things and not really, they judge with not really knowing, not really understanding, and going from there. And so, but it is like you said, just say hello, just reach out, just say, hey, just checking on you, hope everything's good, boom, 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 and be done with it. You know, I have a friend named Jamie who, like last week, she's real talkative, real expressive. I actually married her and her husband. I did their wedding, and like from the weekend and just correspondence, everything's been short. Everything's been not much. I know something's going on, but I know she won't open up until she's ready to open up. So, like the last message I sent her, just checking in on you. Hope all is good. Let me know. You know, nothing else. But I'm not going to keep bugging her because she's going through something and she's got to figure it out. But when she's ready to talk, at least she knows I'm there.
Yeah.
Yep. What I've been doing lately, and this has been like the last 10 years since meeting my wife and developing a family and having kids, is I tell people, listen, if you're ever driving home, and don't text and all that stuff while you're driving, but if you're driving home and you think of a friend and you think, I wonder what they're doing now, don't just think it.
Do it.
Ask it. Do it. It's not going to hurt anything. Push that play button on your phone, a call button, and you got the wireless, and just have a conversation on your way home. That 10 minutes may be a difference maker, or just you may feel better. Selfish as it sounds, you may feel better because I am glad I reached out to that person and know what they're up to. And just do it. I mean, if you think about it, do it, especially when it comes to family, friends, and your close ones. It's worth it.
There's a reason why you thought about it. There's something out there telling you that something needs to be done. And I told we talked to my kids, like I said, this past week, and they're young now where they don't really understand the friendships and all that go on. So I tell them when they get older, I've had times where I just thought of a friend out of nowhere. And you know what I did? I called them just for the hell of it. If I think it, I need to get their name in my mouth and talk to them about something because they might need it. And there's a reason why. So, tell people, call them when you think you need to. Tell them you love them all the time because you never know it's going to be the last time you say it. So just always be there for people.
Yeah. Hey, Spartan, I see what you put there. And you know what? I commend you for taking a mental break because as men, we think we're so strong. We don't think anything can get to us and stuff like that. But a mental break is much needed by anyone and everyone to figure out you, to figure out me, to figure out us. Because and it's so funny that you put that on there. I was thinking about this coming home today from the car wash that like after this Bills Fest thing that's coming up, I'm actually thinking about taking a mental break, taking a break because of just, so much stuff. And you do. But the people who left your life for that's their loss because you come out healthier and you come out better. And the only thing you can ever do is project that on others. I know when I met you, I thought you were cool as hell, and met you with
He is. Yeah.
He is, met you with Monica, and it was just unbelievable because it was my first time meeting her and just, her energy, her heart, the person she is, and then meeting you and how nice you were, how it was a pleasure, and I appreciate that. But it's things like that, you deserve, and no one can tell you that you don't deserve it. And anyone who does, they shouldn't be in your life,
100%, man.
Yep.
I think we've all been there, where relationships change, situations change, people change. It's something that like
it's life.
Yeah, you can't
It's
take it
life.
personally, man. It's just.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, when you're in high school and all that stuff, and I'm gonna have these friends forever, and we're gonna whatever. And I remember my old man telling me, if you got 2 guys out of that class that really like stay in touch with you through your whole life, that's something. And don't be ashamed if not. I've been blessed enough to have people in my life, more people than that, I guess. But still, man, I mean, aside from present company, there's 4 or 5 people that I'm like, they're my rock, like.
Yep.
So I don't know. You just you got to ride those waves. The first couple times you get hit, you don't believe it can happen again, and then it happens again, and then you just got to get through it. And
Yeah. Life always takes you in different directions, and especially with you talking about like high school and friends and stuff like that. I'm 57, been out of school for 40 years, and my best friend in high school, Mary, we still in contact. My buddy Bubba, we're still in contact. We may not be in his contact as much, but we still get together. My college friends, I'm still in contact with them. Look at my first fan, the girl who wrote me my first fan letter, still in contact with their family, and football, like I said, has afforded me a lot of things. It introduced me to a lot of people. It's given me a lot of opportunity, and stuff like that. But then, there's like the downside. There's the concussions. There's the one thing that I don't think a lot of people truly understand is you when you're playing, everybody loves you. You feel wanted, you feel needed, you feel that pull of people want you in their life. When it's over with, you kind of get cast aside. Okay. And I mean, that's not all people, but it's like some people. Okay. But where it really hurts the most is that from the organizational standpoint, if you're not a superstar, you don't really exist. Like I never was a superstar. I felt I did my job. I was one of the people that did my job. I did my job well, but not well enough to be one of the most recognizable ones on a team. But that's kind of hard when you got Cornelius Bennett, you got Daryl Talley, you got Bruce Smith, you got, Mark Kelso, you got 3 first-round draft picks in your backfield with Jeff Burris, Thomas Smith, Henry Jones. You have all these superstars around you. You're kind of just there. Okay. And, and and I'm like, I played 7 years in Buffalo, and, I started my 3rd year in 93. They let Shane Conlon go. They let Carlton Bailey go. I started in 93. I started in 94. I started in 95 and tore my leg up. I started in 96 after coming back. I was a 4-year starter with the Bills. And if Wade Phillips wouldn't have been there, I probably would have been a 6, 7, 8-year starter with the Bills, and
Wade Phillips.
And but once you're done, all those perks that you had at the stadium or at the facility and stuff like that, they're just gone. You can't go over to the facility to go in and say, "Hey, what's up?" You're like an outcast. You can't go. And I understand with jobs that, you can't go back, but you build such a camaraderie with so many people, the organization, front office, all of that stuff. And it's like you're just cast aside, and if you go to another team, it kind of starts all over again. But then once you're done with that team, it's the same thing, and so that's like part of the pitfall. And, and it just gets to you. And, and you do have to be strong. You have to be able to talk to someone. You have to be able to, express your feelings and what's going on, because if you don't, you'll go crazy. I know today they have more programs for the guys, which is amazing, than what they had for me when I came out. And, so that's the good part. That's a good part, is that they are making more programs. and they're actually doing more for the newer players and stuff like that. For the older players, it's so, you know, but it's nothing like it was when I played. The stuff that they get today compared to what we get, you know, they give them help, you know, they give them career opportunities after they're done playing. They put programs into effect for them. They put schooling into effect for them. They put so much stuff now that is great that we didn't really truly have, you know, and stuff. But like I said, when you're surrounded by superstars and you're just a name, you know, I was watching, who was it? Was it Giants? I think it was a Giants game, in '96. And, Marlo Perry and I had made a play. And then the announcer had said something about, yeah, these guys get overlooked, and you know they're doing an amazing job, but they're overlooked because of all the other people on this team. You know, you got Bryce Pop, you got Bruce Smith, you know, Ted Washington, Jim Jeffcoat. You know, Jim Jeffcoat, 14 years, #1 draft pick. You got Bruce Smith, Bryce Pop, Pro Bowl the year before. You know, so it was like it's just it's I know it's life and stuff like that, and you deal with it, but you know, you go from being that person of, you know, everybody, you know, and it's hard to have everybody wanting a piece of you, you know, because you only have so many pieces to give. And then, you know, you go from a lot of people wanting a piece of you to not too many people wanting a piece of you, and it kind of like, whoa, wait a second, you know, where is that? Like, I was telling my wife, when was it? Probably a month or so ago and stuff like that. I keep notes. I have an iPhone, so I always go to my notes when I'm going through stuff, and I put stuff in my notes. And it was like I was reading my notes, and I had notes back to like 2013, you know, in my phone that carried over from my old phones. And
numbers didn't, but the notes did.
Yeah. And so I had these notes, and I was reading these notes and reading these notes and reading these notes and reading them and reading them and reading them and reading them. And I was just like going, and I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, 2015 to like 2018, 19, I was a bear, wasn't I? I was something else, wasn't I? And she goes, kinda, yeah, I think. And I'm like, I was in a dark time. I was in a dark place. And she was like, why do you say that? I said, from reading my notes and the stuff that I was writing, I'm like, I was in a bad place. And I said, I know I was in a bad place. And I said, I don't know if it was from the concussions, but I'm like, everything, from my immediate family, you know, from my mom to my brother to some of my, you know, my dad, my cousins, you know, to her, just things that were going on in my life, people in my life. It was just had me in a dark situation. I don't know if it was a midlife crisis or if it was from concussions or from depression or from what, but I'm like, I was just, and I told her, I said, I was in a bad place, you know. And I think, in all honesty, I'm going to tell you guys, I believe the thing that pulled me out of it would have been, hold on. Was starting my foundation.
Yeah.
And helping people.
Yep.
Mark, yeah. We love
Come
you,
on,
Mark. We got you.
We got you, man.
Hey, man.
We know what kind of person you are, and that's why we are 100%. We love supporting your foundation when you come out and hang out with us, and you do it for the people that you are reaching. And it's an amazing thing that you've been doing selflessly for this long, and that's your calling, and you're doing a great job of it, and you're helping so many families out, and it's a beautiful thing, Mark.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
A lot of people see it.
Yeah.
We love you, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. We love you.
Where's Lori and Eli.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They're only in the season, man.
Oh, fair weather. Fair
We'll see
weather.
him September.
People.
No, they're
I hope-
watching.
I hope-
I
I hope
promise you, they're
Ryan's-
watching.
Yeah, I hope Ryan Fitzpatrick's pitcher burns up now.
Oh man, guys, it is 9:39.
Cassie Nicole.
Yeah, Casey back. What's up, Casey?
Casey?
Yeah,
Is it Casey?
yeah. Actually,
Tell her
the
don't.
only reason-
Tell her don't yell at me then.
don't yell at Mark, Casey. She's a longtime family friend, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She'll forgive it. Don't worry. We
Thank
got Charlotte. Great show, guys. I love it when Mark joins you. Hell yeah, we do.
So do we.
Charlotte. We got Renee with a little heart there. Doesn't that just sum up the whole night right there?
Mhm.
Look at this. Corey Blaine. Love you, sir. Hell yeah. Let's see. Daniel Green, being aware of your mental health is so important. Being brave enough to ask for help and support when needed. Absolutely, man.
It's the hardest part.
Absolutely.
So true.
I was just telling my wife, man, shit was really easy when I was like 22 because I knew everything. So
Just ask your parents, right?
ask my parents, ask my friends, ask whatever broad I was dating. I'm telling you, I knew everything, man. As soon as I started not knowing shit, that's when stuff fell apart, man.
Yep.
Spartan, sometimes the best thing we can do is help ourselves, is to give ourselves to others. Hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
And you know what helps too is surrounding yourself with like people, the people that believe in the same things you do and support the same things you do. That's like the best thing you can do for yourself as you get older in life. And you'll find out that as you get older for sure.
Absolutely, man.
What's up, Julie?
All right. What's up, Julie? Go Bills. Absolutely. All right, Mark. We're getting towards the end of this thing, and Corey has thrown this question up here twice. So now I got to throw it to you. Who was the most annoying player to play with or against? I'll give you.
Annoying.
What I love about this is when Corey wrote it, I knew that you would answer it.
Oh yeah, well, I'll find some. I'll think of someone who got on my nerves. Oh, you know what? And I got the person. I'll tell you right now who it is. And he's an all-pro, getting his number retired or whatever, going into the Wall of Fame in Detroit. Chris Spillman. Chris Spillman. And the reason why is because he would steal tackles.
Right.
He'd lay on the pile and just to be the last one up. And the announcers would give him the tackle. It would be Chris Spillman. And I love the guy, but yeah, it was annoying. I was watching, like I said, I was watching a video today, and I'll send you guys the link because I sent it to Bob. I sent the link to my buddy Bob, and this is exactly what I said. I sent him the link, and I said, go to 2:30:45 and see your boy getting credit for my play. He was notorious for that. And he goes, that's on the announcers. He wasn't even anywhere near the play.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, yeah,
He just so used to it. They were calling his number, man.
Yeah, I'm like, he ran behind me past the play. He ran past the play, and they gave him credit for it. And then what happens after they give him credit for it? Who gets the TV cameo? He does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and he wasn't even in the play. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, that would have been the most annoying for me. You're welcome. Oh God. Yeah, that threw me. Yeah. That's why I do the SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Who shaves what?
Okay, here you go. Doug says, who shaves the most strokes when you are golfing?
Oh, well, you know what? I actually try not to cheat because I already stink. So cheating isn't going to make me any better. So
that's where I'm at too.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd rather have an honest score because I guarantee, I shot 90. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You shot 90. All right.
Yeah.
You know,
the front nine.
Oh, in the front nine?
Yeah.
You got to be honest. So then you have something to challenge yourself. You don't want to challenge yourself on fake numbers.
How can you gauge how good you are if you're not? You know what I mean? Like, I get like we used to do like 3 over or double over or whatever.
Yeah. Just take the double bogey.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
and move on.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy who played in from high school, we took one mulligan on the front and one on the back. And but other than that, we counted all our strokes out of bounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when we played, my whole golf game for me is determined on how many balls I lose. If I don't lose a lot of balls, I'm happy. If I take 6 and I come back with 4, it's a great game.
Yep.
If I take 6 and end up with 2, it's not a good game. Or if I'm trying to find more balls, yeah, it's not a good game. But like this weekend, I played with one of my friends from college in a Mr. and Mrs. tournament because her wife doesn't play, and so she just had me play with her. And the tournament format was actually really, really neat. It was a scramble, but it was a step aside scramble. So what that means is each person had to use 2 drives, or not 2 drives, but yeah, 2 drives off the tee, two hits off the tee box, for your score to count. And but then once everybody hit, if they used my ball, the second shot I couldn't hit. Only the other 3 could hit. And then whoever had the best hit out of those 3, couldn't hit.
Gotcha.
And then
Well,
the
there you
other
go.
3, yeah. And so it was actually pretty neat.
It's like a spin on a best ball kind of thing, huh?
Yeah,
Well, the thing is, if you
it-
had the top player in the tournament, he's just going to tear it up anyway. So don't use his ball
exactly.
every time.
So, right. So you can't you can't use it all the time. And like Brenda was our best player, my friend Brenda. And so like some stuff, we had the other 2 people, they were okay. Well, the woman was okay. The husband, he was horrible. And so we didn't use his drive until we were down to like the last 3 or 4 holes. And the only reason we used it is because I started coaching him up to get him just to get a ball in the fairway, that we could use his hit. And so that ended up working out. But yeah, it is best ball, but it's best ball -1. So
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. But it's true though, like you said, if you got a golfer who's really good and they can drive the ball far, and you got 3 people who can't chip, the odds of getting on the green are going to be less when you have your best player not hitting.
Right.
So,
Cool.
but yeah, but we have fun. But I judge that whole game, that weekend, is that I started with 6 balls, I finished with 6 balls.
There you go.
Nice.
And even I found a couple. So I was like, that's a great golf day for me.
Especially if they're better balls.
Yeah, you lose 6 Kirkland, but you gain 4 Pro Vs. Booyah!
Yeah.
You won that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, family. With this later start time, we don't usually push it past overtime too much, but of course, Mark's on. We do what we got to do. But we're gonna hit it off with some final thoughts right now. Please remember, we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network and super proud to be. Also sponsored by 26 Shirts over there. Man, I'm not used to being up here. 26shirts.com. Go there, spend all your money. They'll do great things with it. You'll look great. You'll feel great. You're giving back to a family in Western New York. Over 2 million donated. Del Reed and the gang, they got great things going on. So go to 26shirts.com and check everything out that you possibly can. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. You know how this works. You've been on 474 times. Give us your final thought, brother.
My final thoughts is I'm going to talk about, like we were talking earlier, just about mental health. And, if you need help, get help. Don't be afraid to get help. It's okay to cry if you're a man, if you're a woman, because you're human, but check in on your friends, see how they're doing, and just do the right thing. Be kind to others, treat others. I learned a saying very early in school, in life, that I learned in DECA in high school, and it stuck with me. it's that golden rule of life: do unto others as you would expect others to do unto you. And that's how I try to live my life, by that mantra, that saying, because it is so true. You treat others the way you want to be treated. You treat people with kindness and respect, and you hope that they would do the same. And you never, like I told someone, I do stuff because I want to, not because I expect something in return, and so that's pretty much it. But that's it for me for mental health. But as far as the Bills go, let's hope that we get everybody we need in the draft, and hopefully wonderful conversation. Love it. Hopefully this is our year. We just got to get over that hump in the championship and get to where we belong.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I also like the way Big Baller Bean kind of just dismissed the James Cook stuff and pushed it on down the river. Hey, it's not happening. We signed the guys that want to be here. We'll talk later. See ya. He's got a year left. Who cares? We'll see what happens. Jarrod, big night for us. Episode 3, season 6. Crazy. Can't believe we've been on air this long. Let me know. What's your final thought?
Yeah, we knew coming into the show that it was probably going to be less about football, more about life. And sometimes you just need that. It's one thing to call up your buddies and say, hey, what's going on? But if you really want to just get with the guys and talk about life, and sometimes a little bit maybe of football, and it gets you feeling better, and that's what it's about. And that's what today was for me. I knew we were going to talk about draft maybe, but then we wanted Mark on, so we got him on, and we just talked. And that's the best way to do things sometimes, and I love it. And Mark, we always appreciate when you come on. You're real to us, and we love you, and we support you and your Help One Foundation and anything you do. And we're always following you, and we got your back no matter what you do. Just so you know, and we love you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to be back next Tuesday. Go Bills.
Love it. All right, Scooter, I don't want you to dip out now. You've been in and out a bunch tonight, all right? Like, this can't be some dramatic goodbye.
That last one might have been me, Swank. I got my feet going like this, and I hit a chord, and that's
you get Nancy.
Yeah, but to going off what Mark and Jarrod said, I'll make it quick, guys. Being in the health field and understanding mental health, the people that seem are doing the best sometimes aren't. So if you think, well, I'll give them a call, they're doing great, they're busy, they're out on vacation or with their family, sometimes those are the ones that need that phone call. So hit them up. Like I said earlier, you think about them, call them. You don't think about them. I mean, hopefully you're watching the show and say, you know what, I haven't spoken to Steve in a while. I'm going to reach out. That's what it's all about. And there's a lot going on in the world today, and sometimes a conversation is what saves lives. So make that call. Last I knew, phone plans aren't that expensive anymore. So go ahead and make that phone call. It's a cheap call for you. It might save a life.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. We got Doug. Mark, thanks for being real. Great show. Go Bills. Absolutely, Doug. Patrick, best plan is no plan. Live in the moment and enjoy. Absolutely. Doug, Scooter with the Irish goodbye. I like that one. That's my favorite comment of the night. Guys, 1,440 of you in on an off-season show with our friend Mark Maddox talking about some real-life stuff. It's a great time, man. We love all of you guys. Please feel free to reach out to any of us anytime you need to. It's important to stay in contact and know that nothing's ever as big or too small. Just live in the moment and feel free to reach out to somebody when you need to. This has been the K-Gun Report. You can tune in every single Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Part of the Buff Fan Base Network. Super proud to be sponsored by 26 Shirts. We love the hell out of you guys. Got a big draft show coming up in a couple weeks. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go.
I sing, whoa, I am my father's light the fuse and run.